everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today I am doing a book review of The Lake by Natasha Preston. Now this review is going to be different than most reviews. I'm not saying I absolutely hated this book. It does have its perks, but I had more that I hated about the book than I liked about it. Fair warning, this is going to kind of be a rant review in a way. I will mention some positive things, but this definitely was not a 5-star read. This book follows two girls who go to summer camp in their late teen years to be counselors when they had been going to the camp for years as children a few years before. It also is implied that they did something awful the last time they were at camp, and that's why they never returned as campers again, and they only returned as counselors when they're practically adults, because they're still 17, but they were old enough to. It's Texas, it's hot, and the camp is by a big lake. And the other side of the lake, there is a big section where there was a fire a few years ago that wiped out a lot of the trees. And that is the secret that the girls are keeping. They started the fire that burnt down half the forests, unintentionally. Esme, the main character, is the one that starts thinking that things are not quite adding up at the camp. Sometimes the campers play lighthearted pranks on one another, but there were some sinister pranks that had messages written in them. There was had painted on the wall, "The lake remembers," and stuff like that, where they all started feeling unsafe, but they also had to keep up appearances for the children. And I feel like there was a lot of worry and not enough action. You're always just in Esme's head, listening to her worry and worry and worry, and just things go round and round, and she has theory upon theory, but she doesn't do anything because she's too scared to. There was another girl there that night when they accidentally started the fire, named Lillian, and she got hurt. And so Esme theorizes that Lillian is back and doing these pranks that are more harmful than playful, and thinks that she's out for revenge. My first true criticism of this book is, even after reading it front to back, I feel like the plot would have worked better if they were aged up just a bit, because again, they were very, very young kids when they accidentally set the fire, because they had a campfire and it got out of hand and caught on some of the trees. I feel like it got out of hand. 17 when they come back as counselors, and they were only 8 when they started the fire. And so I feel like it would have been more impactful if the author had aged up the plot, like if they had done it when they were 17 and they came back in their early 20s, for example, because again, they were so little when it happened. Even though it was obviously bad, they can't really be blamed for what they did because they had no control over it and no kind of adult understanding. As I'm reading the book, it keeps implying that something bigger happened, like it's more than just the fire. And then the other thing is that Lillian, the other girl that was with them that night, got hurt. And I just remember thinking, that's it? That's not bad, but I'm just you're building it up so much that you expect the reader, at least I expected, Esme to say something like, they also killed someone intentionally that night, or something along those lines, but nothing like that ever happened. And if you go on sites like Goodreads, for example, a lot of the reviews are critical of the ending, and I am very critical of the ending too. That was my biggest gripe, because what happened, like the last chapter, there's like an info dump as she figures out everything right off, like as everything is coming to a climax, and then boom, everybody's dead, like literally page after page, all her friends die, and then she's left with the gun. So the police think that she shot all her friends, and then that's the end. It's ridiculous. And I kept thinking, like, please let there be an epilogue. Like, at the very least, like, if you're thinking about it practically, the police would take her in. They would probably test her for, I think it would be gunshot residue, and there wouldn't be any on her hands. So they would realize she wasn't the one that shot the gun. So in my head, that's the ending, where they take her to the police station, they question her, and then they eventually realize she's not the person. But there's nothing after that. And I even Googled, like, is there a sequel to The Lake by Natasha Preston? And there's not. So it's just like, as a writer, what you really want to avoid is info dumping. And by that, I just mean like cramming a bunch of information at the reader all at once, where suddenly everything is happening. It doesn't always happen at the climax of a book, but it's more like, instead of getting told a story, you are just bombarded with all this information that you then have to categorize in your head, and it makes the story less enjoyable. And some of the information, I was like, that was so easy. Like, there was a character that Esme was interested in named Ollie. They were kind of flirty throughout the whole entire book, and Ollie lied to her about like how long he had known one of the other counselors, and she's like suspicious of him for the next half of the book. After that, he explains, like, he was also there that night, and so he was afraid to say anything. And like, I'm like, that's it? Like, he could have, that's like 2 sentences. He could have just said that 5 chapters ago and everything would have been good. It's but I'm not kidding you. Like, within the span of 10 pages, she meets up with her friends as she's running away from Lillian, the antagonist, that is actually threatening them at the camp. And then everybody dies, and Esme is left with a gun. And I just remember being like, what a stupid ending. So I don't want to say I regret reading this book, because I don't. It was a gift for me for my birthday or so last year, birthday or Christmas. And I did enjoy reading it. I would have put it down if I didn't. But just all that buildup for a sudden, quick ending that had no resolution was really disappointing. Unless I get a gift of this author's books again, I will not be reading any more of her books. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't pick one up if you're interested, or if you like her writing. By all means, just know that there is a lot of info dumping, and there's like sudden ending that I was not expecting in the least. Life has been very busy. I meant to film a bunch of videos in May and June, and it just never happened. I do want to start filming again. I did a few shorts. I will have a video in progress where I started reading a book that I will include in my Let's Finish a Series Together series. It's that zombie apocalypse book by Charlie Higson. I'm blanking on the title right now. So that will be a video in progress. I will also hopefully film a book haul soon, and I will see you all in the next video.